Welcome to Tea Talks, where young adult stories and church experience blend into a beautiful insight to inspire us. So grab your cup of tea, sit down, relax, and enjoy as we spill the tea. With me today, I have a new friend, Allison. Hi, welcome.
It's good to be here.
I am so glad you accepted the invitation to be part of this video series. And to start, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Okay, my name is Allison Grundy. I'm 19 years old, I'm almost 20. I've gone to Christian school my whole life. And I'm currently part of the church, so it's good to be here.
That is awesome. So you're going to college, high school, you look very young.
Yes, yes, I'm going to college right now. I'm studying business administration because I want to own my own coffee shop one day. So that's my goal.
So, okay, we are a tea shop right now,
Yes,
but it's
so
almost like a coffee shop.
Right.
You know, like the vibe is the same.
Yes.
The reason why we decided to make this video series, it's because it was inspired in this book here. It's called Growing Young, where a group of researchers from Fuller Institution decided to analyze what is happening. Why is it that churches are losing most of our young people? Okay, either losing or not able to even attract new young people to the church. And they decided to focus on the churches that are actually doing well with young people. And they were like, okay, what are they doing right? What are the characteristics? And one of the things that they said, that's the theory, and that's why I'm talking to young people, because I want to have your feedback, is one of the characteristics of these churches is that they built a warm community. What is a warm community in your view?
I think a warm community to many young people is one that is accepting. So, and that's especially important to a lot of young people nowadays. So it just means, not being judgmental, being kind, being patient, because many young people have struggles and maybe they need extra support through that.
Do you have an example of a time that you had a warming community?
Yes, so growing up, I always went to church, and being in the same church for so long, going on maybe 16 years at the same church, it's, I feel like the people there who have been there as long as I have seen me at my worst, they've seen me at my best, and sometimes I feel a little bit almost embarrassed to go to church because all these people know me, just because of the people sometimes. They know me so well. But once I get there, all of that goes away because they're so kind, they're so loving. And then I remember, especially when I'm away from church, at school or something, and then I come back from being away, it's so nice to remember that there's such a loving community.
So you were able to find this loving community.
Yeah.
Do you think that the loving community helped you develop your spirituality, your spiritual growth?
It definitely did, because seeing people who, love God, love Jesus, and lead a good life is such an important thing to me. That really makes a difference when I choose how I want to live my life.
Did you encounter any struggles to be able to be part of a warming community?
I think there have been a lot of struggles because, for me being in the same church so long, of course, there's going to be times where maybe you don't get along with someone, or, you may have a disagreement with someone, and that just happens. But I think everyone has to make their own choice, that even though there are people and there are situations that aren't great, to choose to look at the good and what's best.
Yeah.
See the positive.
How is that university now? Now you're in a completely different, pretty much out of your comfort zone. So you're no longer at that church that you grew up in. How that experience been for you?
Yeah, so I do go to Christian university. So definitely when it comes to being in the church, I get that experience a lot at university. It's different being there and being away from my community and from my parents who make such a difference to me. But luckily I surround myself with really good Christians, like my roommate, my boyfriend, they all are very supportive of my spiritual life, and they make sure to invite me to church, and I have a fun time going with them.
So you would say that you were able to find warm community, even though it's smaller at this point, because it looks like you talked about your roommate and your boyfriend. Even though it's smaller at this point, you feel like there's people that have been warm towards you,
Yes.
and they have been embracing you. I also went to a Christian university, but I was an adult already. So and as you probably can tell, I'm not exactly introverted. So it was easier for me to approach people. Do you feel like you're introverted or extroverted?
I definitely say I'm introverted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how have you been able to overcome being introverted and still need that community? So how have you been able to handle that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think even though I am introverted, I do love my friends. I love meeting new people, but it can be hard sometimes. So I think sometimes when I go to like a new church, I'm not the first person to put myself out there. So I think that I personally really depend on people who try to talk to me, who extend their welcome to me. I think that
You're
really
more on the
appreciate
shy
that.
side, and you appreciate when they come to you.
I do.
Yes.
I do.
How does, let's say, in a small community where you are, you're not in a small community, but that you have a small group of friends. Right. How do you feel like you support them and they support you when you're out away from family?
That's a really good question. Well, in college, we just do a lot of things together. Like if I'm sad, we all lived, very close. So if I'm down, someone will come and hang out with me. Maybe we could go out. And that just, being together, maybe not even talking about Jesus, but it's just so nice to have people around you who support you. And then I think that with that comes those important conversations about, God and stuff.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Just the fact that they're there for you.
Yes.
Sometimes they're sitting next to you and studying, or when you stress out because college life is stressful. Just knowing that you have somebody there to support you, I know it is, at least for me, was very, very important. How about church? You were able to find a community of friends at college. How is your church life at the university?
Where I go to university, there's a lot of churches around. So I've definitely been, skipping. Well, no, not skipping, but I've been going to a different church.
Like hopping around. I think
yeah,
that's what they
hopping
call it, right?
Not skipping. So usually I'll go with my friends to a different church, or I have a different friend who prefers another church. So that does make it hard to have a warming community when you're not very consistent in the same one. They don't know me as well, but still when I go and someone is kind, or it's still beautiful, and I like.
It's still nice, even though you're going to different churches, meeting a lot of different people. It's not like the same, but your community are the friends that go with you.
You're right.
Yeah, so somehow you still have that community.
Yeah.
It does make hard for you to do things like to be consistent in like serving and things like
Right.
that, but that's college life, and that's not going to be forever. How important do you think it is for young adults to find those connections like you did? For in general, now I'm not only talking about you, like in general for other young adults.
I think it can be hard because when I depend on my friends a lot. So when, someone doesn't have those supportive friends, it can be really hard. They really have to do it for themselves, which is a good habit to get into.
Why do you think churches struggle so much in creating these warm communities?
Yeah, well, I think that some churches can struggle building warm community just because there's people in the church that just don't get along with each other. Things come up, and that's okay, that happens, but it's up to people to decide, what's most important to them.
The church is made by people, right? There's
Yes.
going to be mistakes. There things are
course.
going to happen. How about the intergeneration interaction? You know, the different ages in the church. And in your view, how important it is for the generations to come together and to get along versus just compartmentalize between the different ages? You know, like this age goes here,
Right.
this age goes here. What do you think about these two aspects?
That's a really good point, because I think there does need to be a connection, and that's might be why as people grow up, you know, they're growing out of their age group, and then maybe they're just not interested going into the next. So I think there definitely is kind of a disconnect between young people and people who are a little bit older, because, you know, speaking, you know, for my generation, I think that there's a lot of nihilism. You know, people just don't want to believe in God, maybe. You know, they think, I think a lot of people my age think that things don't matter that much. And so I think, you know, the older generation has to kind of show people why it matters, you know.
And to show them, it's more than just telling them, right?
Yeah.
It's showing love and caring. Then they're going to give an opportunity to hear what they have to teach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like that point. How do you think we as church leaders can help young adults to feel welcomed into the churches?
I think to help young people be welcomed into the church, that's a really good question. I think that they need to find something to connect with. So I think for a lot of churches that might be music. You know, everyone, you know, wants to praise God in that way. Or in a lot of churches use like fun activities to do it. And honestly, I think that's a great way to reach young people. And like in college, they always say free food makes people come. So, and those might seem like little things, but I think it makes a big difference for people just showing up, you know.
Create programs, and for sure every program has to have food.
Yes, it's hard to say, because I think a lot, honestly, like when I talk to people about church leaders, you know, they can say sometimes like these programs that are trying to really push people to like accept Jesus can be sometimes emotionally manipulative, which people don't appreciate all the time. And that's why it's important to do a real connection, like the warm communities that we're talking about, because it's not just like, okay, you know, we had a huge emotional change in this person, or, you know, what, you know, they always say like one passionate like time when someone decides to give themselves to Jesus. You know, those times are great, but there has to be more to really
Develop a relationship,
Yeah,
getting
exactly.
to know the person. Yes, I'm with you. I agree with you. Those are very, very good points.
Yep.
And well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this conversation. I wanted to hear young people, because first of all, I want you guys to feel heard. We are here, and we wanted to make the changes so we can grow together, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful, spending this time talking to you a little more, getting to know you. I hope we can do this again in the future. Thank
Yes.
you. And for you at home, thank you for joining Tea Talks. And I ask you to keep stirring up the conversations and embracing the beautiful and the messiness of life. And until next time.